Hello, I'm Frances from Homestead, and I want to take you on a journey. It's been a few months since we first started growing a garden here, and it's been quite an adventure. We've learned a lot about the soil, which is mostly sand. We've learned about the weather patterns like the frost dates and the wet season, the dry season, and we've made a lot of mistakes and had a few successes. Our last frost date was June 15th, so we knew that we were going to need a head start. So we decided to build a grow room. We have a large shop here on this property. Decided to take a corner of the shop and build a grow room out of it. And we framed it in. We did a wood frame and we enclosed it with black plastic. And we put some shelves and a grow light, a fan, a heater. I even bought seeds from Baker Creek for the first time. It's from Baker Creek. I got some seeds I'm very excited about. Small watermelon seeds. I also have some Thai chili peppers. Excited to try those. I wanted to get serranos, but they were out of stock. Couldn't find them. So I'm going to do some Thai chili. They also sent me this free packet. It's some chives. So I'm going to start those as well. I'm excited to try that. I picked out these German pink tomatoes because I wanted to try something that might have a shorter growing season, might do well in cooler temperatures, and I wanted to have some seeds that I could save. These I just got for fun. They just look so fun to me. I had to try them. Brad's Atomic Grape tomatoes. And I just love the colors. They're just so exciting to me. And I'm very excited to get these planted. I'm going to start them right now. Here we go. We've got the seeds started that I just got in the mail yesterday from Baker Creek. I'm very excited to have these grow. They take up to 1 to 2 weeks to sprout, so we'll see how quickly they go. We started a lot of seeds, and we filled it up pretty quickly. We got some thyme coming in, and oregano. They're looking pretty good. My tomatoes are looking beautiful. Got some little lettuce that are starting on their next group of leaves. Definitely looking better. Very excited. I have so many seeds. These are all my summer plants that I have not put in the garden yet. I have some yellow cherry tomatoes that I purchased at a nursery. And I have some Romas and early tomatoes that were put in a month ago. We just got the grow room set up, so they've only been under the light a few days, and they've doubled in size in that time. I have my bell peppers and jalapenos up here. I have some lettuce that I thought I put in the garden. Turns out I mistook some kale for the lettuce. But since the lettuce was only in a window, it's pretty tiny. So I'm letting it get a little bit bigger in the light for a few days or a week. And then I'll set it out in the garden after hardening it off. So hopefully I don't lose too many. All of these starts Got seeds going. Now, while the seedlings were getting started in the grow room, there was a lot we needed to do to get the space ready. So first we needed to do some demo, or clear away some things that we didn't want in the space. That included, there was a fencing all around the perimeter inside the fenced yard. Very uneven here. Needs to be leveled out, and you can see there's a lot of fencing that's been laid on the ground here at the base of the fence that we're going to have to pull up so that we can plant. I'm hoping to put some sunflowers along the fence here, but we'll have to pull up this fencing that's been laid down on the ground. So the whole entire space had fencing buried right at the base of the whole perimeter fence, and that was a big job. There was a lot of weeds and plants that had grown through the fencing, and so there was quite the deep root system because it was all sand. So that was a big job getting all of that fencing out. And then we also had a dead tree that was growing in the corner of the upper terrace area, so we wanted to get that dead tree out so we could do planting there. Don't need it in the corner of the garden. We definitely don't want the shade, but it's very dead, so there's no need for it. We'll be taking that out. Then there was also a pine tree in the terrace, on the lower part of the terrace, and so we needed to cut the lower branches. We wanted to keep a little bit of shade in the backyard by the back of the house, and so we didn't want to take out the whole tree, but we cut a lot of lower branches so that we could walk under it, number one, without running into it, and two, to let some sunlight come in underneath those branches for the plant. There was a lot of posts and railroad ties that were either dug in or just laying around. So we cleared all of that. We also put in a gate. See this board at the back? There's no gate, but there is a gate over by the chicken coops. Over here, and move it to the garden so that we have access to the back of the garden without having to go around every time from down there. Sit over here at the back corner because there wasn't a gate, it was just a board, and there was a gate over in the chicken coop area that we weren't going to need, so we just transferred it over to the corner of the garden, which was a perfect fit, actually. It worked really well. Once we had things cleared away, it was time to begin turning the earth. And it was completely covered in weeds and plants, and so initially we decided to clear that out. We really like the no-till. We are going to be doing that from now on, but initially we started with clearing all the weeds. It was pretty easy because it is all sand, but it was a lot of area, and all we had was a shovel, and we don't have a rototiller, so it took some time getting all of that turned over, and I was kind of wanting to work quickly, so I spent several hours a day digging and turning the soil. Now each terrace level was over 30 feet long, and most of them were between 5 to 6 feet wide. The upper terrace had not been divided. There was only really 3 levels, and so we divided that up to make it into more manageable level areas. Ended up with 6 levels total. The other end of the yard was very slopey, and so we decided we wanted to level that out so we could plant. Built a retaining wall, and it was pretty high. There was maybe 4 foot at the highest part between the base of the fence and the level of the yard. So it was quite a bit of digging. It was quite a bit of earth moving. It took us some time, wheelbarrowfuls, shovelfuls, getting all of that leveled out. We wanted to have a retaining wall so that we could have a walkway along the base of the fence so that there'd be a connection between the garden and the compost bins. And also it made a nice place for Diana to be able to run the perimeter. So this is what we're doing with this retaining wall. We've built kind of almost like a fence structure. We sunk posts into the sand about 1.5 feet, and then we found some boards, just scavenged the property for some boards and the posts as well, to give support for some materials that also we found on the property. This, I think, is some kind of roofing maybe. This board over here was the back of drawers and cabinets that was in the shop we took out. These are treads from the front porch steps. Leftovers, I assume, or taken out. I'm not sure, don't know. Just found a stack of them laying around. So we have made use of them as retaining wall so that we can have a walkway up by the fence so Diana can run the perimeter, and we'll have a gradual ramp going down from the top of the garden down to the compost. Got 3 sections done so far. We have 5 more sections to go. We'll keep looking all over the property for more materials. Now, after turning the sand, we put down a really thick layer of straw that was here on the property. It was very convenient and helpful for mulching, and also to help with amending the sand. And I first put in the plants that my brother gave me. He gave me some rhubarb and Jerusalem artichokes, some comfrey, some multiplying onions, and cherry tree. Well, they're cherry bushes. He gave me a couple different varieties of cherry bushes, very, very tiny little starts that had come up from seeds under his bushes. I brought those with me and wanted to get them in the ground right away. I also needed to move the blueberry bushes that I had brought with us when we moved from Tacoma. Now the upper level I planted in brassicas. I put in some broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts, and this was pretty early in the season, so unfortunately last frost got them because I went by the almanac and we had frost after that. So anyway, I lost a few, unfortunately. And so I planted seeds. I put in some seeds because it was still early in the season, and I hoped that that would give it enough time. At the lowest level, I put in leafy greens. I put in some spinach, green leaf lettuce, some red leaf lettuce, and kale. And then in the level just above that, I put in some root vegetables. I had radishes, carrots, beets, and rutabagas. I'd never tried rutabagas. This was my first time to do that. Unfortunately, the root vegetables didn't do very well. I tried putting a layer of topsoil on the straw, and the root vegetables just couldn't grow through the straw. It just didn't work out. I really should have dug a hole through the straw and the sand and filled that. And I did that in future plantings, and it's worked really a lot better. But for the root vegetables, my first try, they didn't do very well. After the last frost date, I put in seeds for the green beans, I had started some squash and melons like cantaloupe. There's 2 cantaloupe seeds in that one, and so I'll probably put one of them into the empty space. But these 2 cantaloupe were eaten up so badly I was afraid I'd lost them for sure. But they're coming back nicely. I think it helped having the diatomaceous earth on them. Honeydew. I've replanted most of these honeydew. And this one I've replanted twice. So I'm keeping the diatomaceous earth on them, especially while they're small. And watermelon. As you can see, my watermelon is coming in good. I've got it sprinkled with diatomaceous earth. And some cucumbers. So my cucumbers, the ones on this side here, are my pickling cucumbers. And then the cucumbers over here on this row are my slicing cucumbers. So I put those starts in and did the beans by seed. They've been doing okay. A lot of the cantaloupe and honeydew I lost, the transplants, so I went ahead and put some seeds in. And so they've been growing. They're still a bit small, but I do have plants. I have some plants. The watermelon, however, is really taken off, and I got that from Baker Creek, so I'm pretty excited about how well that's been doing. And the cucumbers, I did some pickling cucumbers and slicing cucumbers, and I've been getting some of that, but they're quite small. They're not prolific at all. And the green beans are just now starting to set on. I'm hoping I'll be doing a picking in the next week or so. But the squash has been going crazy. I didn't get very much squash last year. I'd only put in 2 plants of yellow crookneck and 2 plants of zucchini, 2 plants of butternut. And so this year I thought, well, it's cooler up here. They don't grow as prolific, so I'm going to put in a lot of plants so I can get more squash. They've been doing great. I've gotten lots of zucchini and lots of yellow crookneck, and I have several butternuts that are set on. So I definitely have squash. I'm not lacking in squash. Now the corn, I decided to put all of the corn in the area where we leveled out and put a retaining wall. My brother had given me some corn seeds. I put all of that in the hopes that I could have some feed for the chickens over the winter. And I also put in some garbanzo beans for that same reason amongst the corn. Unfortunately, corn doesn't grow very well in sand, so they haven't grown very tall, and I don't know how well they're going to produce. We'll wait and see how that goes. The tomatoes and the peppers I put in some hugelkultur grow boxes, but that is a whole nother story. Hope you join me next week so you can see how we built the grow boxes and put together the hugelkultur and the transplanting of my tomatoes and peppers. I am so grateful for you. Until we meet again.